Welcome to another edition of Around the Town with Hez Brown. And now your host, Hezekiah Brown.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Around the Town. Remember, we want your feedback. Send your comments and ideas by email to WRVS-FM@gmail.com. So would you tell us your name, please?
My name is Chip Broadfoot.
And that's it?
That is it.
And you, of course, live in Elizabeth City?
I do. I live in Elizabeth City. Elizabeth City. And thank you for having me, Hez. Thank you very much for having me. I think this is a great opportunity for us to have a conversation.
Great.
And, I think this is a great venue for you. Yeah. I think you're the guy to do this kind of thing. So,
okay.
And also, might I add that you have a great face for radio, Hez.
Oh, kid.
Yeah.
No one ever told me that. They had a great face for other things, but never for this. Maybe it's a reason why. Maybe it's the reason it's radio. They can't see you. Okay, Chip. What do you do professionally?
I'm a local priest here in town at the at Christ Episcopal Church.
Okay. And how long have you been in Elizabeth City?
We moved here 3 years ago. 3 years ago, September 1st, 2014. This parish called us from Alabama.
Wow, we got something in common. You know, that's my hometown, Alabama.
Really?
I was born and raised in a little place called Pritchard, Alabama.
Pritchard, that's outside of Birmingham, isn't it?
Well, it's down further. It's down south. When you leave where I was born, that you go into the Gulf.
Oh, okay. Now you're down south by Mobile or something.
That's right. It's in Mobile County.
Okay.
Right.
No, we lived in Birmingham, and then I had a church in Montgomery.
Okay. Well, Chip, tell us, what do you like about the harbor of hospitality? What do you like about this place?
Well, I have always wanted to live in a smaller town. I grew up in a big city. Had grandparents that lived in a small town. And Elizabeth City isn't small because we have a lot of things. We were talking about that before, you know, how much we do in this small town. But I think what I like the most about it is it has that small town ambiance, but with access to a lot of good food. We're close to the beach. We're close to an airport in Norfolk. So it was a sort of a romantic thing for my wife and I. We were recent empty nesters, and we were free to roam anywhere we wanted to, and we'd never lived in this part of the country. And what we saw here in the Pasquotank River and fishing and boating, and the beautiful, the agricultural fields, the expansive fields of agriculture, we thought this would be a nice place to live.
Yeah, I think that Elizabeth City has such a great potential in terms of being one of the outstanding cities, not only in North Carolina, but in the country. And I just hope that we can find ways and means to work together to make that happen through collaboration, through understanding, and through just trying to make this a good place to be.
Agreed.
Now you've been here just 3 years, Chip, but your name have become a name that everybody in this community know and respect. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You're married, you have children. Tell us a little bit about you. You know, you in 3 years, your name is just a namesake here in Elizabeth City, and you've done a great deal. And I'm certain there's going to be more you're going to do. But tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Hez. I don't feel like I deserve that. I feel like you used a word earlier, collaboration, and I think that I've been very blessed since we arrived to have found friends in the religious community, other pastors here in town that we all sort of share that vision that you just expressed. That we are better as a community when we collaborate, when we unify, when we come together with a central cause and try to reach our goals. And so every Tuesday morning, a group of pastors gets together and has breakfast and talks about, we don't worry about where we are different. What we gain is a greater understanding of others when we allow their fruits and their talents to be expressed. So we try to find venues for all of us to have an expression of what it is we're called to do. And so we are strengthened, and we are so much better when we collaborate and do things together. So that's sort of for me growing up. It was sort of I love sports, and I love being playing on teams, because I've always felt like we were able to accomplish so much more than the sum of its parts if we worked together. And so the teams that often win championships don't always have the best talent. They don't have the highest talent, but they know their place, and they express their talents and gifts in ways that work together with each other. So I have been very, very blessed with a group of pastors that don't always agree on everything, but we know that we're better when we're together.
Yeah. As I said again, a lot of times there are certain things that have to be part of your modus operandi. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this question I have is, what motivates you? You do a lot of things in the community. You're well liked in the community. What motivates you to do the things that you do?
That's a great question. I was pretty much a late bloomer in life. I was a young adult having children in the early 90s, sort of living into the American dream of prosperity and upward mobility in the world. So I was living in the corporate world and trying to get ahead, and I was always just felt like I was trying to get ahead, and never was satisfied with the accomplishments. And there were, I was very blessed, and I did have some accomplishments in that world. But I think where I found my greatest motivation was when I got a little bit more serious about God and about serving our Lord. So probably in my latter 30s, I started volunteering at my church to mentor the youth. And we would go on mission trips, and I think that where I was really inspired was by the people who were receiving our care, their inner joy that they had, even in the midst of poverty, how they expressed hope and joy to me, and things that I took for granted, that they didn't have at all. And they were just so grateful to receive anything. And we receive so much in this country. We've talked about this before, how we have access to almost anything we could ever possibly want. And ease and comfort, all that here in America. And but even in our own country, we've got people that are suffering and needy. And so I am motivated to make the world a better place, I guess. Leave it a little bit better than the way I found it.
Thank you. I know that there are a number of things that you're doing. I know one of the things that's on the agenda, it was housing homeless people at some point in some time that you kind of organized. How did you happen to come up with that idea and get everybody involved? I know there are a lot of churches involved and so on. How did that fall into line?
Well, this what you're speaking about is called Room in the Inn, which is some of the parishioners in my church and First United Methodist had started this program about 6-7 years ago, and they did it for a few years, and they had good days and they had days that weren't so good, and they were trying to work out the kinks, and then it sort of waned a little bit. But when I got here, there was sort of a re-energized hope that they had that maybe we could try this again. And so I was approached and by this group of local citizens that said, "Can we do this?" And so again, I have pastors here that are friends that want to collaborate and do things together, and we said, "Yeah, we can do this." We talk about it at breakfast, but let's take it to the streets. So we came up with a mission statement and a master plan. We came up with a master plan. There is already a room in the inn that it is a fully operational organization in the Outer Banks. So they shared with us some of their boilerplate of what it is that they do and their mission. And we've grown in 3 years. From the first year doing it, when we brought it back, we would get a few people to stay with us that were homeless, but we said we're going to stay with this plan. We think it's a good plan. So the second year, last year, we averaged about 7 individuals a night staying in I think it's 12 or 13 churches that are coming on board, and which means each church has volunteers within it. So we've got about 400 people in this community that said we can make this world a little bit better for the homeless. So for the coldest months out of the year, we're offering shelter to people in our churches. We are in the early stages. We've formed a board who is putting together the legal status of this organization of 501c3. And I think that, I'm not on that board, but I think that, and they have their goals, but I believe that the ultimate goal would be to have a freestanding, separate building that would be where we could house the homeless for all year long. And because we've got the hands and feet here on the ground to do it. We just need the building. We're going to have to get some grants. We're going to have to raise money. But for a town and a community, a county this size, to not have a full-time homeless shelter for both men and for women, young and old, families, individuals, whatever, we need that. We need that here.
Absolutely. And I just want to commend you, because I know it's been very difficult, even just organizing these kind of initiatives. And I know that you've been involved in it for a while, and I just commend you, because I think that there have been a number of initiatives here for the homeless, and I think we might have just one place here now that might be limping along and functioning. Yeah.
God bless them for that. And there have been some individuals with this in this community, and there are some places where people can stay. I get that. But a unified effort at getting this, again, is kind of where we are. And so we're hopeful.
Okay.
We're hopeful.
Well, let's turn to something else, because we need to move along, because we want to talk about the real important thing that we need to talk about here. But I know that you're involved with the Unity Group, and how did that group start?
Back in...
That is the right name.
The Unity at the Table.
Yeah.
The Unity at the Table is a group that really was the Mayor Peel, our city manager, Rich Olson, and some of the county commissioners and our chief of police, Eddie Buffalo, they approached us and they said, can we have a series of meetings in the wake of some of the violent protests that were happening around the country in response to injustices that have happened, and they've sprung up in various places. And because we're a city that is 50-50, white, black, they felt like this was the time for us to proactively find reconciliation, find ways to get past some of the things that we're all guilty of in the past, of making bad choices, and coming together and being prepared to progress our city, where everybody has a chance to make it in this community. So we were approached to facilitate a series of meetings. I was asked to be a part of that, and Hip Barcliff at Mount Carmel was asked to as well. And we did. We invited people from the corporate sector, from the government, from churches, and we had a series of meetings that brought people together as a voluntary group of people. You weren't required to come, but we had some wonderful meetings. There was great passion to reconcile our differences and to honor the integrity that each person brings to the table. One of the things that we believe, that Hip and I both believe, is that there have been a lot of attempts at reconciliation over the years. And I know that you've been a part of a lot of those too, Hez, but what we said we would do this if there was only one agenda, and that is God. God's love and the integrity that each person has as a child of God is our only agenda. So that means that everybody has a place at the table. Everybody has a place at the altar. That's why we call it unity at the table. And so we met, and we had a chance to ask for forgiveness, for instance, to forgive me for the things that I've done in my past, and even to name them, things that were not just, things that, we shouldn't have done, and things that my ancestors have done, even though I may not have done them. The color of my skin represents something to someone else, So being able to forgive someone and also to feel that forgiveness is a game changer in our lives. So those meetings sort of served as a foundation for us to now kind of spring us forward into where we are now, which is a group that puts together quarterly gatherings, either worship or community events that bring people together elbow to elbow, sitting in the same pew or sitting in the same aisle with someone that's of a different race or ethnic background, and allows us to do things with one cause, one purpose, and experience each other. It's experiential, that's going to change things. We can talk a good game, but until we walk the walk, together, then you have nothing to really, base your beliefs on. So that's what I found very gratifying by having the unity at the table. As sort of a springboard for when anybody has an event that they want to do we think is a good event that brings people together as one. We will sponsor it. We'll get behind it. We'll tell our group of folks to spread the word, and we'll back it, and we'll be there.
Yeah, I like the name of the two people that's leading it. The name is Hip and Chip. They rhyme, they go together. So
yeah,
that maybe that might be some reason for the success of it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Hip's a great guy to work with.
Absolutely.
And I consider him my brother in Christ. And I'm honored to be working with him, but I'm also honored to be working with all the people who have accepted Unity at the Table as a good venue for bringing unity to this community.
All right. Let's pause for a moment. We'll be right back with more Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Elizabeth City State University promises to be the most affordable choice for a high-quality university education. The North Carolina Promise tuition plan will reduce the tuition cost of attending ECSU to only $2,500 per semester for out-of-state students. It all begins fall 2018. Learn more online at ecsu.edu/NCPromise. Elizabeth City State University. Come to discover, leave to conquer.
You are now listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Okay, let's talk about the other thing that's going to come up very, very soon, and that is the call for Rise to Hunger. As we all was involved in the last year, it was a very successful event, and I know that it's going to be even more successful this year. Tell us a little bit about the Rise to Hunger.
Well, again, last year the pastors were having breakfast. The genesis of this whole thing came together because a couple of our churches were doing a packaging event where we were packaging meals for those who are starving, and we said, hey, why don't we bring this event to the community? Why don't we collaborate, bring it to the community where not just our churches are doing it, but we ask everybody to come. And so the churches were the main financial backers behind it, because we asked our churches to put up the money to buy the product to make the meals. So without them, we wouldn't have had the event. But we also asked our the chancellor at ECSU, Chancellor Conway, and Russ Haddad there in the operations at the university to help us out, and they and Chief Buffalo also was a key component in this, and that he got the word to ECSU, and they agreed to be the location where we had the event. So we had a venue. We had R.L. Vaughn Center, the big basketball arena, multi-purpose arena, and that I think gave it some credence. Gave it some girth, and it gave us some strength also. And then we got the word out at Unity at the Table. We started getting people involved in all the churches in the community. And fortunately, word got out, and we did raise up enough money to where 400 people gathered on the gym floor at R.L. Vaughn Center. And ECSU was awesome. They coordinated everything and had it set up perfectly. And we raised enough money to package 92,000 meals. And
How many?
92,000 meals were packaged in 2 hours. And the Stop Hunger Now people were so amazed and were so inspired by our efforts. And they said, please, let's do this again next year, and let's raise our goal. And because Stop Hunger Now, which has changed its name to Rise Against Hunger now, but Stop Hunger Now is doing this all over the world. It's based out of Raleigh, actually. It's not far from us, but they do this all over the world. So we didn't even know where our meals were even going, because it's going to third world countries. But it didn't matter, because the euphoric feel that we had at that meeting, or that gathering, was that we were all together. We had athletes from the ECSU teams there. We had church members from all walks of different churches. It didn't matter what the denomination was. And we all said it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree on anything, theological, ecclesiastical, political, you name it, social. We were together, and we were passing food from one person to the next down an assembly line and packaging meals together, and we accomplished a goal. And there was a sense of euphoria in that room that day. And so we were all talking that day saying, oh my gosh, we did 92,000 meals. Next year, let's do 125,000. So we need $36,000 to do that. Now, can we do it? I think we can. I think if the corporate community got behind it, I think if all the churches, we have 110 churches in this community. If every church put up a few $100, we'd get there. And we've got the people. We can get it done, and we can get it done in 2.5 hours.
One of the things that we had talked about earlier, Chip, was the fact that we live in a country where we take so many things for granted. We take the water, we take the air, we take food, we take work, we take all these things for granted, But here, with the meals that you prepare that for other countries, and you said it was 98,000?
Yeah, 92,000.
92,000 that was prepared for someone. And they will be just the happiest person in the world just to get those small meals. And I just thinking, and I just want to say out to the community that's listening, that this is a project, again, as Chip talked about, we all could work on this, and everybody gave just a little bit of their time, a little bit of their energy, a little bit of their money for this, and we can help other countries. We can help people who are not as fortunate as we are. So this year, what is the date for this event?
It's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. It's November the 19th.
November 19th. And then where's it going to be held at?
Okay, it's again going to be Chancellor Conway and Russ Haddad have given us the same venue, R.L. Vaughn Center, the big basketball arena on the campus, and it'll start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you had a chance to rest on Sunday, maybe go to church, come home, have lunch, maybe sit on the couch, watch a little bit of the NFL, and then go to the R.L. Vaughn Center at 3 o'clock. That's when we start the process of packaging the meals.
You know, Chip, I was there last year, and I tell you, I have never in my life witnessed, such just an enjoyable time of people working together people smiling, people happy to be in this arena, and people willing to give their time and energy. So I know that the word got around, you know, because I put it on everything I could on Facebook and every place else, you know, what was going on. And I know that people really this year is going to turn out in droves in record number because they heard about what was going on. So tell the community a little bit about what they need to do in order to be a part of this. Well,
it's we do have a website. It's http://events.stophungernow.org and then /Elizabeth City.
Say it again.
All right, it's http://events.stophungernow.org /Elizabeth City. It's a website. You can sign up to be just to come to the event, and also it gives you the opportunity to give money to the event. And if everybody gave $5 or $10, we'd get there. You know, if every individual, the churches are going to give money, and we're hoping that corporate sponsorships are going to give money. The Morning Rotary Club has already donated $750. And I don't know how many thousand meals that is. 29 cents a meal. That's a lot of meals.
And then if they want to donate, they should also call that same number and you will give the information.
You can go to that website.
Go to their website. Okay, all right then. Right. And give the dates again.
Okay, it's November 19th. That's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the R.L. Vaughn Center on ECSU's campus.
And what we were doing, we asking folks, as I said again, we really want to urge individuals to make a financial contribution to this organization. But on the other hand, if you just don't have it, and everybody might not have $5 or $10, you know what I mean? Right. But you can volunteer. You can come and enjoy this enjoyable situation where people are working together, all color, all ages, and everything. I mean, just a whole melting pot of people working together for the right cause, right? So one of the two, you know, if you don't have any money, you can certainly volunteer. And do you have a goal for this year?
Yes.
Chip, what's the goal for this year?
We are going to shoot for 125,000 this year. 125,000 packaged meals, which is going to take about $36,000. So that is our goal. And also, you know, our other goal is sort of the practical side of it as well. Pragmatically, I want everybody to experience what we experienced last year. We had old, young, we had handicapped volunteers, we had Latino, Asian, black, white, and we were all in an assembly line together, standing shoulder to shoulder. And I can tell you that the benefits that brings, it's life-changing. It can change your life to have that experience. I want people to have that experience. That's what Unity at the Table is all about. So I hope that's what my goal is to see everybody come together and you know, our differences aren't important. You know, God gave us all unique talents and gifts, and none of them are alike. We're all different and unique in our own way. So let us all express those. Why do we suppress these things, Hez? Why do we do this to ourselves?
That's right.
You know, it was such a wonderful event with an air of equality, that we're all the same, that we're all doing something to help some people who have nothing.
I will tell you in closing, you know, one of my philosophies is that if you can find a way to every day do one good deed for someone, it doesn't have to be your family, it doesn't have to be your friend, and you don't even have to know the person. But think about this. Do one good deed per day and see how it makes you feel. I mean, I do this every single day. If it's no more than calling up a person that's in the hospital, or no one calling a person that's ill, this is a good deed. Or being in the supermarket and you see someone struggling and you pay for the grocery. I mean, just good deed. That's it. And I tell you, it makes a better person out of you, and not only that, but you help somebody else. So, Father Chip Broadfoot, we thank you so much for all your information. We thank you for your time, and we certainly thank you for what you do for this community.
Hezekiah, thank you, and thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for those very important words that you say.
We've come to the end of today's show. I want to thank my special guests and you for listening. Again, I'm Hez Brown. Join me next time for Around the Town with Hez Brown.
Thank you for listening to Around the Town with Hez Brown, recorded and produced at WRVS-FM Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University. If you are interested in becoming an underwriter for this show, call 252-335-3985.